Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Now, it's really important to establish the fact that some of the measures that has been put forward by the Home Office Secretary, they are proposed measures, and all of this would go through consultation, and by February 2026, some of the policies that were passed into law will be made official on every information on gov.uk. But at this moment, all of these measures are still proposed measure. But I mean, trust me, 9 out of 10 times when the Home Office Secretary makes an announcement like this, it's always exactly the same by the time they pass it into law. Now, it's been like a lot of conversation in the past about, the government planning to reduce post-study visa for students, for students in the UK from 2 years to 18 months. They talked about it like this, and a few more down the line, it was implemented and made official, and every information on gov.uk reflects that proposed measure, which is exactly the same thing that's happening now. I think the only thing that would, make a difference in February is a bit of clarification on the gray areas among, within these policies that have been proposed by the Home Secretary. But the truth is, I don't think anything is really going to change. They're probably just going to explain further and then give clarifications and just try to avoid a couple of loopholes, basically. So yeah, it's really sad. I mean, it's a difficult time for all immigrants, especially those who are on the skilled worker visa, those who currently work in the UK, especially those on the health and care. Now, while we know that all of these are proposed measures, and we know there's high possibility that some of these measures would be implemented, there are a couple of questions that are still left unanswered, which hopefully there will be clarification on them very soon. Now, majorly it's around those who work within the health and care. Now, personally, I don't like how they specified or how they categorize, those who work in healthcare care as low, low paying individuals or those with low skill, in as much as they don't do things that the doctors do, the paramedics do. What they do is also as important as those individuals. But anyway, that's not the border of contention of this video. Now, the whole idea basically is that they're putting the baseline for eligibility for ILR for those on the health and care visa to 15 years, which is absolutely insane. I mean, I don't know, to be honest. Many people who are on the health and care visa are hoping that they're going to go through the tough 5 years working on that particular job, and after 5 years they'll be free to then do whatever they want to do. Now, the fact that it's now 15 years, I mean, just say a little bit of scenario. Imagine you got on the health and care visa at the age of 30. It means that you wouldn't be eligible for ILR until you're 45. That's insane. That's unreasonable. So they're going to put some clarification on that, because they also went further. When I listened to the Home Office Secretary, she also mentioned that those who make good contribution, that number of years will be reduced, and also those who work in the public sector, that will also be reduced. That's another gray area that we need to probably clarify a little bit more. So, for example, they mentioned that those who work as frontline workers within the public sector will be eligible to apply for ILR after 5 years. And she specifically mentioned nurses and doctors. But the question now is, what about nurses and doctors that work in the private sector? Does that apply to them also? There's a couple of gray areas that we're going to get clarification on in the next couple of months, next couple of weeks, as the case may be. Now, another clarification that they'll probably need to give later would be majorly around those who are now dependent of those that work as frontline workers in the public sector. So, for example, families of doctors, nurses, there was no mention of them if they're going to be able to apply after 5 years because they are, dependent of frontline workers, or, there was no clarification on that, which, of course, they're still going to give further clarification. Now, this is my own thought. I spoke with a couple of friends that work within the healthcare sector, and this was a conversation we had basically that now, say for example, they finally released the official announcement or the official statement, or official, statement that you have to spend 15 years to get ILR if you're on the health and care visa. Now, the question then is, what is the way forward? What would people have to do? How will people be able to get off that? Now, I understand that for those on the health and care visa, you don't necessarily have to pay IHS fee, which is absolutely fine. However, the torture, the restriction that comes to being on that visa, it really can be disheartening in so many ways. And this was this is a few things that we talked about while I was having the chat yesterday with a few friends that work within the health and care. Now, one of them is If you work in health and care, it means that the partner who is the dependent needs to start making moves to exploring other visa option, which is non-negotiable. So if you're a partner of someone that works in the health and care visa and you have the right skills, you're able to start a business, you can leverage on the global talent visa, or you're able to start a business, you can leverage on the innovator founder visa. I mean, it's now something that every family needs to prioritize. So even if the person that is on the health and care visa is one that has, in quotes, the capacity to start a business, she can start a business, however, in the name of the dependent, so that the dependent can then come forward as the business owner, get on that visa, which I understand is going to be costly. However, I mean, even though it's costly, you're just going to spend 3 years on the global talent visa or the innovator founder visa to get your indefinite leave to remain. Anyway, now these are tough conversations that we need to start having now, not waiting until they release the official statement by February. You start having that plan now, you start talking about it now, you need to start making move now, because some of the moves might take you a whole year to eventually achieve. So why not start early, if that makes sense? Because I know I've spoken with people when the health and care were saying, oh, anyway, I'm just going to wait for 5 years, and after 5 years I'll get ILR, then I can plan what next. But now it looks like even if they're going to reduce the baseline for 15 years, there's high possibility that it probably will be less than 10 years. So imagine doing that kind of job for 10 years, which is really insane. Now, I also spoke with a few friends on the skilled worker visa, and I mean, they don't even mind waiting for 10 years to get in indefinite leave to remain. The only issue with that is, one, the uncertainty, and even though they love the job they do, people are actually looking for flexibility. So this doesn't affect only those on the health and care visa. This even affects those on the skilled worker visa, because the policy says that if you're on the skilled worker visa, you might have to wait 10 years to get ILR. However, if you have English proficiency up to degree level, you can wait for 9 years. I mean, what's the between 9 and 10 years? That's just a year difference. But the whole idea of wanting to get ILR basically is, I mean, not necessarily access to public funds. I mean, for immigrants like ourselves, we don't really give it, we don't really, care about the, what's it called? The, access to public funds. I mean, who wants to access public funds anyway? Who've got the capacity to work and make our own money? So the public fund is not even the thing. The major thing is that comfort, that ability to be able to plan, that knowing that you have no restriction or, in quotes, binding contract with an organization. You can choose to move job, you can choose to apply for any kind of jobs without the fear of, oh, am I going to get sponsored? Oh, do they have the license to sponsor? That's the whole idea of wanting to get on the indefinite leave to remain. But with this restriction, having to wait 10 years makes it even more difficult. So those are my friends that work big jobs in London, and they love what they do, they're happy with where they work, but the whole idea of having to constantly renew your visa every 3 years, I mean, especially if you've got family, spending tens of thousands of pounds to renew that visa every year. I mean, personally, I think it's a ploy of the government just to make money off immigrants, in my own opinion. I could be wrong, but I think that's the whole idea. Having us to renew visas every single time, spending fortune to renew those visas. I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous. But yeah, that's the reality of things right now. And it's important for us to start moving fast. I made a video a couple of weeks ago about exit plan. I mean, this might be the time to make that exit plan, to be honest. If working in the UK doesn't seem like a thing that you want to do for that long on that particular job role. 99% of those who speak to me who are currently on the health care visa are tired of the job. They are exhausted. Their mental health, their strength, I mean, they're practically exhausted. Now imagine what is going through their mind right now, knowing that there's high possibility that they would have to do that same job for the next 10 years, for the next 15 years, as the case may be. It's really disheartening, but I think instead of mourning about it, it's time for us to start thinking of what we need to do. Very, very important. Start making that next move. Start thinking, what is the next line of action? What do I need to do to get out of this situation? But yeah, that's that about that anyway. I just want to share my thoughts on this video. If you like this video, click on the like button. If you're coming across my channel for the first time, I share everything UK immigration, transition into tech and personal finance on this channel. Do well to hit on the subscribe button. And my returning subscribers, thank you guys for being here. I really appreciate you guys. This will be the end of the video, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Thank you.